Hi, I'm Stace, and this is Magic and Ink, where we talk about fantasy writing, creative living, and magic. Today I want to share with you the Citadel. It's a fantasy oracle deck by Fen Inkwright, and we're going to explore ways that you can use this deck as a tool for creative inspiration for your writing. Okay, this is the Citadel, a fantasy oracle. I've had this for almost a year now, but I haven't had too much time to play with it yet, just because life being what it is. I want to introduce you. This box is great up to a point. It's kind of fun inside. You see this nice magnetic closure, but then you get this, and the cards are kind of stacked in there, and this is the part I hate most because it's hard to get them all out and harder still to put them back in. So I'll just put this aside for now. So this deck comes, like most oracle decks, with an instruction book that tells you the meaning of all the cards and some spreads that you can use it, and then it comes with the deck of cards itself. And now, as you can see, they are a little bit odd shaped. They have this kind of octagonal shape, except elongated. There is actually a version of the deck you can get that's like equilateral octagons, 8 sides. But I chose this one instead. They have this beautiful illustration of the Citadel on the back of the cards in black and white, with just a hint of red in there. The cards themselves have a lot of gilding on them, rose gold gilding, and I'll show them to you in just a second. So this shows you, you can look at it up and down, it's the same, almost. Yeah, it is the same. So you don't know. You can use the cards have reversed meanings. And the theme of these cards is that it's based around like a fantasy city, and you can use them. There's actually a spread for building a city using the cards from scratch, just to get ideas for it. So let's take a look at the cards, because really that's what's super compelling about these is the artwork on them. It's all black and white with hints of red and some rose gold foiling. I hope that's showing through on the camera a little bit. Some very dramatic images on some of these. Can see I'm going to flip through a little more quickly. There's a crown, a wolf, a hound, a poet, swords, and some very darker cards, birds, lots of symbolism, and they're really just compelling illustrations that spark a lot of ideas and creativity, I think, and inner exploration, if that's what you're interested in. Very different from the traditional tarot cards, if you're familiar with that. They have their own organization and structure, which I'll go into in just a little bit. Okay. First I want to take a look at the book. This is the instruction booklet. As I said, it's by Fen Inkwright. And again, you have an opening illustration of the Citadel, the court, the academy, the community, and the crowd and the troop is what they're called. So this is the quick reading guide in the front, and it tells you how the cards are divided into 4 suits. You have the court cards, which are indicated by a solid upright triangle, and those represent achievement and responsibility. And some of the characters that appear in this suit are the king, the queen, the spy master, some roles like that. The second suit is the Academy, which represents development and growth. It's an upward triangle with a line across it. These are alchemists, cartographers, champions, enchanters, the kind of people who grow and support the court. The next group is the crowd, which is represented by a downward pointing triangle with a line across it. They represent the community and hard work. These are the people who live and support the city. The merchant, the miser, the pilgrim, but also people like the pathless. What does that mean? That's some of the fun of playing with this deck, is exploring what these different roles within the Citadel might be. The fourth group is the troop. It's a downward pointing solid triangle. That suit represents internal thoughts and identity. They tend to be characters who are on the fringes of society, like a musician, a painter, or a runaway, or a witch. Lots of different flavors of who those people might be. There's a great foreword in the book, and I wanted to read a quote to you from, it's by Mark Holmes, who is a dungeon master for High Rollers D&D, which I'm not familiar with myself, but some of you may be. But I really love this quote. "There is so much power in fantasy and role-playing. I know from experience it can help people learn about themselves, discover their true identity, and do so much more. Fantasy takes us to places where the realities of our daily lives can be brushed away for a moment, places we can laugh, cry, love, and be vulnerable. It helps us forge stories that make us feel strong, brave, and liberated, even when everything around us feels impossible. Fantasy is a little garden, a dustbin lid shield, and the adventures that stay with us for a lifetime." So I love it. This deck was inspired by tabletop RPGs, Dungeons and Dragons, etc. And the author goes into how that happened if you want to check it out. And then she talks about how this is an archetypal oracle deck. So this is a lot of generalities that you have to use your own intuition and creativity to expand upon, to put things together, figure out how they go. It's not a step-by-step build your story for you. It puts ideas together and then you have to develop them. I've already explained the different courts of the cards, what does she call them? Districts, I guess. As she says, in the Citadel, each card represents an archetypal character who resides in the city, such as the champion or the poet. It has a short description of what this archetype encapsulates and what message they can impart to you. Similar to the character cards of the tarot, these cards describe people. They are designed to be interpreted broadly. They may not just refer to you or people in your life, but may also express aspects of a situation and help you reflect on your position, what you need, and how you can proceed. So you have the 4 suits. And then she goes in, you have a little page description of the court and each of the different characters represented, and then another description of the academy, and so on. And then in the back of the book, she gives you some sample spreads that you can use with it. She calls these for gaming with the Citadel, but you can also use it if you're just a fantasy writer and want to generate some ideas for yourself. The first and biggest spread is building a location. And she gives these associations for each of the suits. The court is associated with fire. The academy is associated with air. The crowd is associated with earth. and the troop is associated with water. So your first pull for being a location would just be to see what suit. You pull a card and see what the general location is, and then you can go on from there. Then you separate the decks, and you separate the deck into the 4 segments, and she lays out how many cards you should draw from each deck and what they signify. Then she provides a template for building an encounter, a location, an NPC, and an outcome. That would also be something very useful for storytelling. You can build a character. The examples she gives here to tell them, what their class or role is if you want. You can use that as explicitly as you wanted. You could say, oh, he's an aspirant, so he's someone hoping to climb in the court. Or it could be someone who has that category but is, just a dyer or something like that in the city. It's up to you. And then you can add background characters and experiences depending on how many cards you want to draw. You can use it for in-game fortune telling. That reminds me a lot of the game Everway, in which the game it was a tabletop RPG, and it came with a fortune telling deck that you use to decide the outcome of actions as opposed to rolling dice. And then it goes on to provide you with some actual fortune telling spreads for personal use, not creative use, depending on the questions you have: past, present, future, callings, doubts, actions, and then a couple more expansive spreads you can use, which I'm not going to go into right now. However, what I would like to do, just to experiment more, show off the cards more, I recently started a new novel project, and while the main characters are pretty solidified in my head about who they are and what they want and what they're going to do, there's a side character who's recently become more important within the plot, and I thought I could get to know her a little better. So I'm going to try answering some questions about her with the cards, and we'll see what happens. It'll give me a chance to show off some of the flexibility and ingenuity of this deck. All right, so let's pour some tea and get to it. So I took the opportunity before I started to write down some brainstorming questions. I'm going to shuffle these cards together. I'm shuffling, I guess I'll mix them up so some of them are reversed, because they do have reversed meanings, which, if you're familiar with other oracle cards, kind of a, I don't want to say dark side, but it's just a reversed side. The opposite, in a way. Complementary. It adds a little more texture and possibility to what the simple reading can be. Okay. Actually, I don't want to use that book. That's my Imaginarium. That's for just completely making up stuff. I'm going to write these in my writing journal. Use some of the clips from Cora Create Crafts Summer Box. sure this stays open. Okay. So I did write some questions down. I wrote a whole bunch of questions, but I'm going to write the ones I want the answers to most. Okay. How does she see herself? Oh, I should tell you who she is. Cedrine is the heir apparent to the throne, to the imperial throne, in the setting where the story takes place. She's about 25 years old, and it's a matriarchal society. So her mother is the current empress, and Cedrine is in the position where her mother wants her to. She's been traveling, learning the kingdom, getting to know the people who she will rule, and she's come home after several years away, and her mother wants her to start looking for a consort to produce the next heir to the throne. So, and she has a big influence on my main character. How does Cedrine see herself? What is her role in the court? That is how society sees her, I suppose. And let me see, what was the other one? What is her weakness or blind spot? These are the questions that I think might have the biggest impact as I continue to develop the story. I might have to come back at some point to get more answers to different questions as I move into the story. Okay. Okay. All right. I'm just going to draw 3 random cards since I have 3 questions. How does Cedrine see herself? What is her role in the court? And what is her biggest weakness or blind spot? Oh, look, I lost one there. I'm going to hold that. That got lost under there, and I'm going to put that aside because I think that's going to have some important information for me later on, after I do the rest of this. Okay. Let's see. How does Cedrine see herself? She's a sailor. New influences and wanderlust. Isn't that pretty? Look at the fish swimming in the water. And the galleon sailing across is the rising sun, the setting sun, the depths of the ocean. Okay. Let's see what the book has to say about the sailor. The sailor is in the, I can never remember the name of the second group. What's the name of the second group? The crowd. It's so general. All right. Here's what it has to say about the sailor. Seagulls wheel and call as a ship cuts through the water, skimming over gleaming waves and pods of spinning dolphins. The sailor breathes a deep lungful of sea air and smiles. The sea is vast and beautiful, but their thoughts are of a cottage back in the citadel, of a cozy fire and a warm embrace, and they realize that there are some things worth dropping anchor for. The sailor represents 2 possibilities. the familiar shores of home and the yearning for distant lands. You may be craving a change of pace, however big or small, and the current moment might be the perfect one to start fresh. But whatever you do to satisfy your cravings, don't forget the importance of your origins. Okay. So, as I said before, Cedrine, Cedrine did just come back from a trip abroad. And so she doesn't really like the stifledness of the court. Yearning for distant lands. Anchored at home. Now she won't be able to travel again, probably, especially once she becomes the Empress herself. So I think she sees herself as someone who is ready for that kind of travel and adventure. But she has to come back to port. When I look at this card, I don't see, I mean, even though the description of the card said, you know, wants to go back home to the cottage in the Citadel, I don't see that here. I see that this is somebody who really likes to be at sea, just that glorious sunlight overhead. And I think that's true for Cedrine. She feels like this is who she wants to be. She wants to be that. She doesn't want to be anchored. She wants to be at sail. Let's see. Let's move on to the next card. What is her role in the court? Well, that's interesting. It is the Thief reversed. So let's turn it over. The Thief is seizing the moment and selfishness. So the only thing I can see her having to, she might steal the throne from her mother. Some people might fear that she would. I don't think she would. The Thief is part of the troupe. One of those outsiders. Nope. Oh, maybe I'm wrong. I was wrong. It's part of the crowd. Okay. The Thief. A crash of pottery, the sound of angry voices, someone laughs, another curses. You're so distracted looking to see what's going on that you don't realize your pockets are suddenly empty. The Thief takes what they want, when they want. It starts off as a necessity, but now it's an addiction, a need to take greater risks, to seek bigger marks. One day they'll run out of luck, but it's the thrill that keeps them going back in the meantime. It may seem a selfish way to live, but the Thief makes their own destiny, and so do you. Grab that opportunity the next time it arises. Don't let should and could stop you from gaining fulfillment. Life is short, and sometimes you need to put yourself first. Now, the reversed meaning of that is that for whatever reason, you found yourself in a situation where you're hoarding resources for some unseen future disaster. Material wealth, favors, even friendships. You're holding on to everything with an iron fist. What's making you feel so insecure about your life that you need to prepare for the worst? Assess these feelings. You should also let yourself enjoy some of what you've been holding on to rather than saving it for a rainy day. I'm trying to think how this answers the question of her role in the court. Hoarding resources. Now, culturally speaking, on a larger aspect, the whole royal family is the thief because they've stolen the place they live, basically. Giving a big spoiler away there. And so I see that maybe this is indicating that she continues that tradition. She's ready to follow in the footsteps of her predecessors, and maybe that's what she has to do is learn to let go, since it's her role in the court to lead that process. Okay, next card is what is her weakness or blind spot. Another reverse card, the Chiromancer, reversed. Delivering news, collaboration. It's a hand. You can see it has all the palm reading symbols upon it. I don't know that much about palm reading, but it's very dramatic. Okay, let's see what it means. Again, the Chiromancer is part of the troupe. I opened right to it. Gentle hands take yours, fingers dance across your palm, seeking out lines and hidden shapes. And when you look across at the Chiromancer, there is a smile on their face, but behind it also the hints of a frown. Being able to read the future is both a blessing and a curse, but it is a role that the Chiromancer is prepared to fill. You have a message to deliver, or something that you've been meaning to say for a while, but it may not be a message that someone's ready to receive. Be careful about how you deliver it, and choose your timing carefully. The outcome may depend entirely on you. And reversed, if you've been waiting for the right time to make an announcement or tell someone something important, it may come to light without your help. Before you sit on it any longer, think about whether it will have the same effect if this news comes from somewhere or someone else, and if you're happy to live with that. You may need to speak up sooner than you planned. All right, how is this a personal blind spot? I'm really kind of stuck on this one. Maybe it's that she keeps secrets. Keeps secrets. Doesn't say what she should say. I don't yet know. I think that's an interesting trait. She knows things, but doesn't share the truth. I don't know specifically how that is going to affect my story, but it certainly presents possible complications, especially considering her role in the court of being that hoarder of things, and she's keeping some of that information secret from our main characters who will need it. Yeah, there's something she knows that she doesn't tell. Something that the main character, Tenny, needs to know. She probably knows the secret. I can't tell you the secret, I'm sorry. Okay. All right, so I have some stuff to work with there. Oh, I forgot my extra card. When you're doing divinations and a card pops out, that's the deck telling you something. And this card is telling me the Spy Master. That is really interesting in conjunction with those other two cards. Knowledge and distrust. That is not an aspect of this character that I thought about, but I think it's dramatically interesting. Let's see. The spy master is of the court. Nothing happens in the Citadel that escapes the spy master's notice. They must surely be one of the most powerful people in the court, yet their office is a small affair, crowded with papers and bottles of stale drink. In knowing how fallible people truly are, how can they trust anyone else? Knowledge is both a stepping stone to power and a position to optimism, and in seeking it so voraciously, the spy master has become trapped on a lonely path. I like that loneliness for Cedrine. The pursuit of knowledge is a grand goal, but don't let it tarnish your opinion of the world. If you only pay attention to the negative, you can find every person's flaws, every piece of bad news, every shadow, even on a sunny day. Instead, try to exercise some positivity and forgive those around you for their faults. A relationship or situation can be so much better if its flaws are acknowledged, but not focused on above all else. So, I think she sees the negative sides of the court, things she doesn't tell people. She knows the dark side. She doesn't tell anybody. That's all she can see, and that's why she wants to escape to the sea. And her choices are going to be based on that, I think. She'll have to come to confront that. Is she going to escape, or will she choose to escape, or will she choose to remain in this web of secrets and lies that she doesn't really like? Yeah, that helps me a lot, and I hope is kind of interesting to you. Since you don't know anything about my story or characters, maybe it's not. What if we do another experiment? What if we go ahead and let's collect these cards again. I'm going to go ahead and let's build a city. Okay. Let's go ahead and build a city. I'm going to give these cards another shuffle. All right. The first card is supposed to tell us the location based upon its elemental association. Let's just grab one from somewhere. Let's do that. What do you think it's going to be? I'm hoping for water. It's a thief. That's funny. It just popped out there. Oh, the thief was in the crowd, and the crowd was, do you remember? I don't remember what it was. The crowd is earth. So your location is an area that is lush with plants. This might be an area of deep wilderness, prosperous farmland, or thick forest. I think it's a jungle. We're going to go with jungle for this. And I'm going to pop this open. And we're going to use my Imaginarium here to write down. We need a 2-page spread for this. The thief, earth, a teeming jungle, on the banks of a river. Okay. Now we have to divide the deck. So I'm going to speed this up probably while I do this. Okay. I have 4 decks now. Up here. I'm going to start with the court. Okay. I'm just going to mix these up like this. The first draw is the most important building. Tells you more about the location. It's the king. So the most important building in town is the royal residence, I would assume. So that's cool. The second draw is 3 cards. The characters in the ruling class. 1, 2, 3. The fate, accepting help and guidance. The wise one, tradition and order. And the poet, relationships and vulnerability. I'm not looking up the meanings for these cards right now. I'm just letting my own associations work on these. So the king, as the most important building, means, I think, the center of authority. But the authoritarian figures here are wise people, I think. Maybe some divinatory oracles that tell the past and future of this location. So maybe that first place is like a temple, and it's guided and it's ruled by the deities, the people who are in charge of the temple, and the verses that make up the divinatory texts that rule everything. The third draw is optional and can flesh out more of your location. So maybe I kind of want to know who the ruling, if we have what kind of ruling class we have. Spy master. Oh, so there's a lot of spying that goes on. I think that's enough for now. Okay, I'm going to not write these down right now because you watching me write is probably not very interesting. But we'll set these over here in order. So next we go to the academy. And the academy is where the center of the town's wisdom is. Now, given that the rulership is like based on wisdom, this could have some interesting results. So let's see. This card represents the building that is the center of your town's wisdom. The guide. Something ringing a bell. So I think that there's a center in town. Maybe it's next to the temple. There's a bell that calls people to worship, and that's where people hang out to hear the wisdom. These cards of people offer your players information. Okay, so this isn't. We aren't drawing characters here, but this is for a game specifically. Let's just pull 3 for additional buildings of importance. The sentinel. So a guardhouse of some kind. the captain. So they're surprisingly military. And the priest. So I'm thinking there's a strong church militant in this society. Oh, my lights just went out. Hang on. Sorry about that. Anyway, I think a strong, along with the religious guidance, there's a strong priest militant supporters that insist everybody come and worship along with them. There's no heresy allowed. The crowd tells you what the community values most, the first card. The Forgotten. That's really interesting. I have to read the description of this card to you. As you can see, it's really kind of wow. It's a very symbolic card of a figure floating above everything. I'm not sure if that's supposed to represent a forest. It looks very alien to me, all of it. And it says missed opportunities and fear of failure. So I want to read the card to see how this might apply to our town. There it is. A canal runs through the citadel, deep and silent, reflecting the evening lanterns. Little cafes line the banks, filled with conversations and laughter. Couples stroll past, wrapped up in their evening. No one sees the figure that passes them all by, gaze averted. The Forgotten does not speak, nor hear, nor even see. They are so certain they have nothing to give the world that they do not even try. It's very sad. The social pressure to stay and do the right thing can be overwhelming, and no one gets it right every time. Don't allow the fear of making mistakes stop you from trying at all, or you'll find yourself isolated from the very company you crave. Be aware of what is causing you this anxiety and turn that negative energy into something constructive. Okay, so this is about alienation, and I think that this community does not feel like a community. I think all this military priest guide, that's the only people, they've forgotten everybody else. Everyone else feels like stuck. They're forced to participate in this society, and maybe it's a little fascist. They're not seen as part of the community. They're seen as outsiders. Okay. The second draw are everyday people that players meet. So again, I think we're just going to think of this as the kind of common people that make up this community. If we think about this a little different, maybe it's not that the society alienates them. Maybe this strong religious, it's a cult, right? All the people were the forgotten people, and this military religious system has called them here, and they're being kept here by the military forces, and this is who they were, and maybe now they feel seen. And so that they embrace the forgotten people from other cultures. They bring them there and give them a home where they can't where they feel apart. Everyone is welcomed, no matter how much of a forgotten person they were in their own culture. So let's just draw 3 more to see the kind of people we have here. And we've got Sailors, we're familiar with that card from earlier. So travelers and adventurers who probably wash up on shore of this place without knowing it. Patrons, mentorship and finances. So cults like this need money. So these are the people that they've seduced to the cult with promises in order to get their money. And the shepherd, celebration and family. God, I super hate this card. Because it looks pretty devilish to me. I mean, it's a goat's head and horns as a skull, and it looks eerie to me. I want to read what that card says, because I'm pretty sure it's not as meant to be as terrible as it looks. Shepherd. On a gentle grassy rise just beyond the citadel, where white spotted goats bleat and graze, the sun bathes the hills in warmth. Heavy-headed dandelions and nod lazily, and all is peaceful. From under a shady tree, the shepherd watches their flock, the bell at the end of their crook ringing out over the slopes. It's a simple life, but the shepherd knows how to celebrate the pleasure of loving, and loving well. A is a leader and a parental figure. They ensure that their flock doesn't go astray, no matter the weather or the directions. It's a flock, right? It's time for you to look to your own relationships, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so yeah. So they have random wanderers, they have the people they brought in for their money, and they have a family feeling for all the people who have been forgotten elsewhere. All right, and let's look at the last set of cards, the troop. The first draw is for a conflict that already exists. Okay, let's go. The Weaver. Rediscovery and transition. What does that mean? A shuttle clicks and clatters back and forth. A loom moves under a skillful pair of hands. The weaver takes the threads of fate and turns them into something whole and beautiful. New patterns and stories emerging with every swing of the loom. The weaver does not control the weaving. They only guide it, and an unexpected design emerges. The threads of your life are long and entirely unique to you. It's time to turn them into something complete. Take the messy loose ends that you don't know what to do with and make them part of you too. In doing so, you may discover a part of yourself that you didn't recognize before, or rediscover a forgotten thing or person who brought you pleasure. And the reversed meaning is you've reached the end of a particular period of your life, yet rather than being fulfilled, something still feels incomplete. Do you lack closure or something? Or is a previous negative experience coloring your current situation? There's a loose end somewhere that needs tying off in order for you to feel complete. So I can see this going two ways. One is the loose end. There may be somebody who knows something about why all this is bad, the negative underside of things. Or it may just be that this community has reached the end of building this community, and now they're ready to move on to the next phase. Maybe they're becoming imperialistic, ready to spread their influence over a greater part of the world. Okay. The second draw are people who will incite some action in the story. So we're looking for the people and what they're going to do. Okay. Oh, we got one. The brawler. Lack of empathy and confrontation. the dancer, self-expression and strength, and the herald, small regrets and longing. Okay, so, I mean, with all these military people controlling society, there's going to be confrontations, because, as we said, the community it's grown as far as it can within its confines, and they're ready to weave something bigger because there's a lot of internal conflict, people fighting with one another because there's not enough space, there's not enough to do. Everything's, when everything gets too good, sometimes people are like, they have to make trouble. The dancer's self-expression and strength. I think there's somebody in the community who, this is the first one that strongly relates to a particular character to me, though some of these other ones could be characters as opposed to classes. This is someone who has come into the community and she's causing ripples. She's disrupting what they've so carefully woven together, because she's a dancer, and dancers don't fit in the tapestry. She's has her own ideas and her own, she's our protagonist. Probably, though, yeah. And then the last character we have here is the herald, small regrets and longing. I kind of want to see that one because I think he's an important character too. Let's see. Nimble hands pluck at the strings of a lute, and fragrant smoke curls from beneath the wide brim of a hat. The herald exudes an easy sort of charm that draws others to them as they play their tune. But beneath the smile and easy laugh, there is an undercurrent of melancholy. They think back to the day that their life changed, to the flowers on the hillsides, the hares in the grass, the guard waiting in ambush. Would their fate have been different had they taken a different path back then, or would it still have turned out the same way? It's easy to get caught up in the what ifs, but if you go forward holding on to all those little regrets, you're going to miss out on the pleasures of the moment. Be your own herald of change and bring something new or more positive into your life. Don't let the force of your own feelings separate you from finding joy in the path you're on now. All right, so here I'm going to put together a story idea real quick. We live in a very authoritarian community on the shores of a river, a jungle river, isolated from the outside world. The community is ruled by the divine, by the instructions in a revelatory document interpreted by a priestly class that interpret that set down the rules and the laws and the way that these people live, but it's very secretive at the same time. I think a lot of the people don't get to actually see those divine documents. They enforce themselves through a priestly class and a military arm who keep people focused and in order and in line in this community, because it's a very mixed community of people, because they've drawn people from around the world, adventurers and money and just people looking for a better life, because they've all been forgotten by their own societies. They've come by the promise of this divine message and built kind of a peaceful haven for themselves. At least that's how it feels to them. And now that this society feels complete, there's people in the upper echelons who are thinking, now it's time for us to grow farther and bring our message to the rest of the world. And in this community, there's starting to be some trouble, some disruption, because it's getting to be too big for the space it occupies. That's one of the reasons they need to grow. And here is the core of the story. We have two characters. There's a dancer who's come and finds the community is really too restrictive for her, and she's going to have run into some trouble from the authorities because she's doing her own thing. She's drawing people away from the rigidity of the ritual and ceremony that occupies so much of their time in this culture. And having people think to themselves. And then there's this other character, and he is someone who loves and is drawn to the dancer, but is also afraid of her and what she represents. He has his own past, and he sees what happens to the dancer, because they're gonna try and break the dancer down, and the herald is going to witness that, and he's going to witness the change in the community, and he's going to have to make some choices about if he wants to stay in the community, if he wants to continue the dancers' activities by continuing to fight against this trend to become imperialistic, to grow, or if he just is going to leave or just go with it. So that's a really confused, and I feel a lot of strong strands there, and now I feel like I have to go write that story and come back and share it with you, maybe? We'll see. So that is the Citadel deck. I hope you have enjoyed this little exploration of how it can be used for storytelling. I hope I haven't rambled too much. I hope you enjoyed getting to see these really interesting, uniquely designed cards. And I hope that you are inspired to go do some creative brainstorming for yourself. Do you yourself ever use tarot cards or other oracle cards to help you develop story ideas? I'd love to hear about it. Say so in the comments. And also, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm trying to get this channel going. We're going to have more regular content from here on out. Thank you so much, and have a great day.